People are in Kamar-Taj, starting as a traveling frog. Chapter 31. Ding. Frog is traveling. Your frog boy will send you photos and greeting cards anytime. Pay attention to check it in time. A pleasant reminder sounded. Leo couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Woohoo. Finally going out again. The power of Shazam from the DC universe next door completely solved Leo's worries. Even the form can be switched freely, jumping back and forth between childhood and adulthood. Next time, which world will Frog go to? I hope it can bring more amazing props rewards. Leo secretly looks forward to it. Immediately, he silently chanted Shazam in his heart. The blazing magic lightning struck the earth. He once again restored his original appearance, the image of a boy who was only 7.5 years old. After all, this appearance is more deceptive. There is no need to expose your trump card directly. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I really wouldn't believe that he could grow up in an instant. Nightcrawler's face was full of amazement. Even the other X-Men nodded solemnly. Indeed, even in the Zelger Academy for Young Talents, no one has the same ability. It's simply unheard of. Unseen. The Venerable. What if Odin really comes and visits Kamar-Taj? You may be targeted by Odin. Sally is beautiful, and she actually cared about Leo for the first time. She was undoubtedly impressed by Leo's superb methods and unimaginable abilities. Compared with him, Cassius is simply useless. Therefore, Sally has decided to turn over a new leaf and join the camp of the Palace Mage. Not only Sally, but even other Guardian Mages have had the same idea. People strive for higher places. This is an objective social law. No one is immune. Rest assured. Even if Odin really led the army to Kamar-Taj, the Ancient One Supreme could resolve the problem. Leo smiled. The Supreme Sorcerer will support the sky even if it falls. Who let the Ancient One steal his Sage Mode? It is said that the Supreme Sorcerer intends to simplify the Sage Mode as a brand new training system. Did it succeed? If the Sage Mode can really open up a new path, the Mystic Sorcerer will not have to rely too much on the Dimensional Demon. Moreover, the Sage Mode can achieve collective transformation. System products must be top-notch. Leo has no doubts about the travel souvenirs brought back by Frog. As for what kind of transformation it will be, it is difficult to guess. Of course, no matter how strong the Sage Mode is, it can't compare to the Tailed Beast transformation. Once the Jinchuriki is completely Tailed Beast transformed, it can be transformed into a huge Tailed Beast form and mobilize the Tailed Beast's chakra at will. Moreover, the complete Tailed Beast transformation can be superimposed on the Sage Mode. It's just that Leo has not fully mastered the Tailed Beast transformation so far. Even half-Tailed Beast transformation requires time to practice. Mr. Leo. Professor X invites you to visit Xavier Manor. I also look forward to your interesting stories about Kamar-Taj. There are also several magicians who have inherited the family tradition in the Academy for Young Geniuses. The Phoenix girl smiled like a flower, her beautiful eyes flickered, and suddenly came to Leo. Deep in her irises, she faintly revealed the natural maternal love of women. Who can resist an angel-like child? Moreover, after he turned into an adult hero, he became even more handsome and his appearance was not inferior to that of top idols. If I could have him, I would make a fortune. Ahem. Jean Grey couldn't help but fantasize. A hereditary magician. Almost forgot. Storm seems to be a white magician. Leo pondered for a moment, then smiled brilliantly, his eyes like obsidian met Phoenix's gaze. The next moment, two glittering portals slowly opened, leading to Xavier Manor and Kamar-Taj respectively. Sally. Daniel Drum. You are responsible for the aftermath, please remember not to cause social concern. And inform Master Hamel of this matter promptly. Thor's hammer, Saint Fengen's a contract, temporarily keep them in my possession. After the order was given, however, no guardian mage took action. Everyone was confused. What the hell? Leo could actually create 2 teleportation gates. He didn't even use hand gestures. Could it be that his mental power has surpassed all elite mages and truly entered the level of a palace mage? No. It is possible that he is comparable to a legendary mage. Here. Your Excellency. Everyone raised their hands and bowed to leave. No one objected to the arrangement of the temple master. However, Cassius' face was full of resentment, as if he was a transparent person, and was completely abandoned by his former followers. Since he can communicate with the dimensional demon, why can't I do it? Cassius's face was extremely gloomy. He was eager to gain power and eliminate the palace mage. Westchester County, Salem District, 1407 Grimagen Road. An old manor that has stood the test of time is located here. The towering walls are covered with ivy, and the fields are planted with colorful flowers. As the precious property of the Xavier family, it has been inherited from generation to generation. It still stands today. However, a black car driving fast suddenly broke the tranquility of Xavier Manor. The gates opened to both sides. The car drove directly along the long road to the gorgeous building full of retro colors. Tap. Leather shoes stepped on the ground. The honest-looking field agent wearing black sunglasses came to the famous Xavier School for Young Gifted People. Phil. Welcome to our store. Failure to welcome. Is Nick Fury okay? The bald old man in a wheelchair appeared in front of Philco immediately. In front of him, his face was full of kindness. Next to him, stood a tough guy in a leather jacket, with a cigar between his lips. Professor X. Logan. I'm here to investigate the matter of St. Vanganza. According to reliable information, the X-Men seem to have landed there in a stealth fighter. Phil Coulson took off his sunglasses, revealing a simple and honest face. He looked a little dull, and could be considered a model of a federal agent. He joined S.H.I.E.L.D. in the 1990s. He is currently a Level 8 agent. S.H.I.E.L.D. Along with Area 13 and Sentinel Special Service, it is listed as one of the 3 most powerful agencies of the Star-Spangled Federation. It was established mainly for the strategic defense attack and logistical support of the homeland. They are all under the jurisdiction of the World Security Council. Since the 1990s, Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., has been involved in an interstellar crisis and met Talos, the exiled leader of the Skrull Empire. He also has some knowledge of alien forces and a series of situations in the secret world. Especially the X-Men. They are the primary objects of observation of S.H.I.E.L.D. However, not long ago, a stealth fighter took off and landed in the town of Death. Detected by satellite instruments, an astonishing energy fluctuation broke out in the area. In order to solve the mystery, as a field agent who is Nick Fury's right-hand man, he rushed to Xavier Manor as soon as possible. Phil. There is no need to be so serious. Professor X's face was full of smiles. Even if he didn't use his innate mutant power, he could guess Phil Coulson's intention. All right. I'm just doing my job. Phil Coulson shrugged. As a veteran who had been working there for a long time, how could he not know Professor X's abilities? No one could hide his thoughts from Professor X. Before he finished speaking, suddenly, a glittering portal slowly opened. Nightcrawler, Phoenix, Cyclops, and Beast Hank crossed the portal one after another and returned directly from the Death Town to Xavier's School for Young Talents. This ability. It's so convenient. There is no need to take public transportation at all. Hanging ring. Is Kamar-Taj for sale? Everyone started to chatter. The next moment, the range of the portal expanded again. An inexplicable force took effect. Even the invisible fighters parked in the Death Town were transferred to Xavier Manor through a mysterious force. Telekinesis. Phoenix Girl's beautiful eyes flickered, and she couldn't help but look surprised. She never dreamed that the Temple Mage could actually use telekinesis. Want to move a 10-ton Blackbird fighter? I'm afraid Jean will find it difficult, right? Beast Hank said in surprise. However, the more shocking candidate is undoubtedly Phil Coulson. Even though he has seen all kinds of incredible events as an 8th-level agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., he still has no idea about magic. The whole person is like being hit by a heavy hammer. Even the qualities of a professional agent are thrown aside. What's the situation? Straight back to Xavier Manor from the Death Town. His outfit actually looked like a magician from a fantasy work. Phil Coulson almost bit off his tongue. He was so shocked that he couldn't be more shocked. Phil Coulson. S.H.I.E.L.D. actually saw through the situation in the Death Town. Leo stood on the clouds and slowly moved to Xavier School for Young Talents. The portal behind him gradually closed. However, the mutant teachers and students at the scene couldn't close their mouths. Almost a duck egg could be stuffed in. Everyone was stunned. Magician. It turns out that what Professor X said is true. Beneath the unknown modern city, there is a larger secret world hidden. Etc. He seems to be only 7 or 8 years old. About your age. Is this kid the guest invited by Professor X? Whispers echoed. Everyone was skeptical about Leo's actual age. After all, there were not many kids like him in Xavier's school for young talents. Everyone be quiet. Let me introduce you. This is the strongest guardian wizard of the New York Temple. Temple Master. Leo. Although he is only 7.5 years old, he is responsible for the safety of the entire Earth. Professor X smiled. Immediately, he passed on the relevant information about Leo to everyone. The strongest guardian mage. 7.5 years old. Responsible for the safety of the entire planet. Am I hallucinating? Professor X personally clarified, how could it be fake? Everyone reacted slightly, and immediately a heated discussion broke out. Even Phil Coulson showed an expression of surprise that he couldn't hide. He subconsciously took a breath of cold air. He was protecting the Earth. What was the situation with S.H.I.E.L.D.? Cough cough. Professor X. Are you sure you didn't make a mistake? Is he really the strongest guardian wizard? Phil Coulson narrowed his eyes slightly and looked carefully at Leo, who was only 7.5 years old. He confirmed it again. After all, the information about the New York Temple and the Guardian Wizard was too shocking. Since the establishment of S.H.I.E.L.D., it has not detected any sound. It's outrageous. Yes. The Temple Mage appointed by the Ancient One himself. Cyclops and Phoenix nodded. The Ancient One. Who? Phil Coulson was extremely puzzled. Suddenly he felt like a fool. His face was full of frustration. Phil Coulson. This is the address of the New York Temple. You and Nick Fury are welcome to visit us anytime. Leo sneered. Then he handed over a business card with nothing else on it. Only a short address. 177A. Bleecker Street. What? Greenwich Village. Right under my nose. Phil Coulson was completely confused. His hometown was in Greenwich Village. However, he had never discovered that there was a magic temple here. In fact, there are 3 magic temples on Earth. Leo said slowly. 3. Even Professor X couldn't help but frown slightly. It was the first time he heard about the other 2 magic temples. The secret world. Even Professor X doesn't know much about it. Because he only had a brief exchange with the Ancient One. As for the secret world, he got more information from the gravekeeper Katsure. Where are the other 2 mage temples? No way. Located in the east. What is the significance of building the mage temple? Nightcrawler, Cyclops, and Beast Hank couldn't help but ask. Everyone was also curious. Significance. Naturally, it is to defend the peace of the real dimension. Leo stopped talking briefly. He did not over-decrypt the specific information of the Mage Temple. After all, the first commandment of the secret world is to keep your mouth shut. Telling Phil Coulson the address of the New York Temple was just to appease Nick Fury. Nick Fury. In the 1990s, he met the first superhero, Captain Marvel, who has the ability to cross the stars, Carol Danvers. If Carol Danvers returns early and takes a series of actions against the New York Temple, maybe it will cause an irreversible disaster. What's more, even the extremely dangerous Devourer may stay in S.H.I.E.L.D. It would be nice if I could raise a Devourer. Leo's eyes flashed. The next moment, he felt the approach of the magic wave. Not far away, a black woman in a body-shaping uniform, with long silver hair falling down her shoulders like a waterfall, stepped out with slender and straight legs and came to Leo. Storm. Aurora Monroe. She has the hereditary magic power of the Monroe family. She is listed as a top Omega-level mutant. With God-level abilities. Kamar-Taj is not only responsible for repelling the dimensional demons that spy on reality, but also secretly monitoring the powerful mutant population to prevent mutant life from endangering the entire world. Hello. Lord Leo. Storm took the initiative to shake hands with a doting smile on her face. Deep in her beautiful eyes, she could not help but show her natural maternal love. She had almost no resistance to Cupid, who had fallen from heaven to earth. She also longed to give birth to such a cute little one. If nothing unexpected happened, she would have a short marriage with the King of Wakanda. Ms. Monroe. You are welcome to visit the New York Temple at any time. Leo bowed and saluted. I am so angry. Why didn't he invite me? Chin Gray looked disappointed. The Venerable. What happened in Death Town? And the hammer in your hand. Where are you from? I was ordered to investigate this matter. Phil Coulson hesitated for a moment, then mustered up the courage to ask. Hammer. At this moment, everyone discovered that Leo was holding a hammer tightly in his hand. The handle had a unique plant texture. The hammer head. Made of mysterious metal, with beautiful patterns engraved on the surface, it seemed as light as a feather. Ha! Ask the right person. If I tell you, I'm afraid you won't believe it. The god of thunder in the Norse mythology descended to the town of Death through the Rainbow Bridge, but was killed by the temple wizard and even his weapons were confiscated. Nightwalker recounted the whole process with exaggeration. Silence. For a moment, everything was silent. You could hear a pin drop in the entire Xavier Manor. What the hell? The god of thunder. The Rainbow Bridge. Could it be that the hammer in the hands of the temple wizard is the legendary Mjolnir? An artifact that cannot be lifted by unqualified people. Wolverine Logan was surprised. He was born in the 19th century. Even though he looked young and strong, he was actually about 200 years old, almost the same age as the gravekeeper Katashre. Although he had not received formal education, he had been exposed to various myths and legends. That's why he couldn't believe his ears. Thor actually existed. And he came to the earth. He was defeated by a 7.5-year-old temple mage. Is this true? Are you bullying me because I don't have enough education? Real. Hank, Jean and I can testify to this. Cyclops Steck nodded. Hiss. One word caused 1,000 waves. Even Phil Coulson was amazed. Now he finally understood the cause of the energy fluctuation. Rainbow Bridge. The key. If this report is submitted, I'm afraid Nick Fury and the Secretary General of the Security Council will curse and accuse him of talking nonsense. Even he was half believing and half doubting. However, at this moment, a loud voice suddenly exploded in Xavier Manor. Sacred. Magnificent. Unquestionable. Leo. Come to Kamar-Taj and return Thor's hammer. Otherwise, I will crush Midgard to the ground. Boom. 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 It was as if the day had turned into night. Thunder roared one after another in the dark clouds. It was as if unknown creatures were turning the rivers and seas upside down. The supreme ruler of the 9 realms, the king of the gods of Asgard, was pouring out his rage like crazy. Who is speaking? Scare. Did I hear it wrong? Flatten Midgard. It seems that in the Norse mythology, the Earth's nickname is Midgard, also known as the Midgard world. Odin, the king of gods, is angry. The hammer in Leo's hand is actually Thor's hammer. Everyone couldn't help but hold their breath. It was as if their heartbeats stopped at this moment. Their brains were blank. A chill rushed straight to their heads. Even Professor X's eyelids twitched wildly. He was not prepared for the sudden threat from the gods. He almost peed himself out of fear. Fortunately, he hadn't suffered from Alzheimer's disease yet, and he successfully held back his urine. Glad to see everyone. See you again if we are lucky. Leo waved his hand. The next moment, he entered a teleportation door. Through the teleportation door, he could see a group of buildings in the Oriental classical style, with high eaves and flowing corners, and a well-arranged layout. Kamar-Taj. I hope Lord Leo can withstand the pressure. Odin, king of the gods. I heard it was extremely brutal. Kamar-Taj. The air pressure has dropped to freezing point. An alternate dimension space independent of the real world. A continuous dark cloud appeared out of thin air. Thunderous sounds exploded. In front of the main hall, a strong and powerful figure stood. He was wearing golden armor and had an extremely thick beard. With an uncontrollable and fierce expression on his face, he looked like an angry prehistoric beast, leading a group of Asgardian warriors and parachuting directly to Kamar-Taj. Odin. The main god in Norse mythology. The king of the gods. The supreme ruler of the 9 realms. In prehistoric times, he had fought side by side with the first supreme magician Agamotto, and together they repelled a cosmic god group. Strictly speaking, even the supreme magician Ji Yi had to call him a senior. However, the temple mage of Kamar-Taj ignored the feelings of his ancestors and directly snatched away Thor's hammer. A powerful artifact forged from Uru's sacred steel. Where's Leo? He hasn't shown up yet. You are so arrogant. Odin tightly grasped a golden spear, his one eye filled with hatred and resentment. He had lived for countless centuries, but this was the first time he had been treated so lightly and humiliated. Kamar-Taj. Did he really think he had grown wings? Was he qualified to act arrogantly in front of him? It was ridiculous. If he hadn't remembered their old friendship, he would have led all the Asgardian warriors to flatten Kamar-Taj. God King. There must be some misunderstanding. How could the Temple Wizard of New York lift Thor's hammer? Those who are not qualified cannot lift the divine hammer. This is a well-known fact. Baron Mordo was confused and tried to control his anger. Even though he had great respect for Odin, Odin didn't act like an elder at all. He used the power of the Rainbow Bridge to teleport to Kamar-Taj. Everyone thought that a black wizard had invaded. Temple Master. Has the Ancient One Supreme already been chosen? Why didn't you notify me in time? Master Hamel was confused. Before this, he always thought that the position of the New York Temple Master had always been vacant. He planned to arrange Daniel Drum to sit in the New York Temple. However, without the permission of the Supreme Ancient One, he did not dare to make a conclusion. Leo. Same name as Little Radish Head. However, Leo hasn't appeared for a long time. Even in the cafeteria and dormitory, there is no one there. Has he been imprisoned by the Sorcerer Supreme? Because of the sudden surge in mental power. Luo Weiyang, Saren, Ji Shuangshuang, and Vincent couldn't help but discuss it. During this period of time, everyone has been practicing in Kamar-Taj, and they are only a step away from being promoted to a formal mage. As for Leo, it's as if he has evaporated from the face of the earth. There is no trace at all. Misunderstand. Leo said it himself, Earth is not a place for the Aesir to run wild, and if they want to redeem Thor's hammer, Odin must come and get it himself. How could I have heard wrong? The majestic son of Odin roared fiercely. At this moment, he changed to a magic battle axe, and the whole person was like a god of war, with a bright red cloak behind him flying in the wind. His spit almost sprayed on Baron Mordo's face. Grief, hatred, shame, annoyance, loss of face. All kinds of emotions were constantly intertwined on his face. He wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. However, Thor's hammer must be taken back, otherwise if his father asked about it, he would have no way to fool him. I hope Loki can scare these mystic wizards. Thor couldn't help but sweat. After he and Loki met by chance, he told the whole process truthfully. Hearing that Thor had lost Mjolnir, Loki couldn't help laughing out loud. However, as the god of lies and tricks in Asgard, he and Thor have the same blood and must defend the glory of Asgard. So, he boldly made a plan. Impersonate Odin. Ask for Thor's hammer. Force the temple mage Leo to kneel down and apologize. As the number one magician in the 9 realms. Not even Odin can see through my illusion magic. What's more, a weak wizard from Midgard. Loki's face was full of majesty. He had pretended to be Odin more than once, and had mastered the charm of the king of gods and could perfectly simulate Odin's power. I'm afraid that Queen Frigga couldn't tell for a while. What's more, in order to make his acting realistic, he also mobilized a personal army. A full 100 Asgardian soldiers. Behind him, not far away, they lined up in formation, with solemn and calm faces, never saying a word, exuding an iron-blooded aura. The trainee wizard who had not experienced the baptism of war couldn't help but tremble. Fearing that the two sides would fight with swords. The next moment, a glittering teleportation gate slowly opened. Open. A thin figure wearing bright yellow clothes, dark corset, and with her true face shrouded in a hood, walked out of the meditation room. She tightly grasped a bamboo fan. Every gesture was full of a unique charm. Ancient One. The current supreme sorcerer. After mastering the cultivation method of the sage mode, she has been in seclusion, trying to launch a simplified version and pass it on to other disciples. At this moment, she finally achieved her goal. But she found that Odin, the king of the gods, appeared in Kamar-Taj. Because she was not wearing the Eye of Agamotto, she did not find Odin's abnormality for the time being. God King. What are you doing visiting Kamar-Taj? Ancient One pondered for a moment, then smiled kindly. Odin. The highest ruler and defender of the 9 realms. Theoretically, Midgard, that is, the world of the Atrium, is also under the jurisdiction of Odin. Of course, under normal circumstances, Odin will not interfere with anything on Earth. Because the cosmic god group and the Earth gods have an agreement. Where is Leo? He stole Thor's hammer. He threatened me to ask for it myself. Now I'm in Kamar-Taj, and he's hiding like a turtle. Loki imitated the tone of the father god. He was furious. Even the Ancient One was shocked. What the hell? Thor's hammer. It seems that Leo has other unknown secrets. Ji Yuyi suddenly laughed. As for Leo and the parchment scroll he found, even Ancient One was curious. Why did he find it when others didn't? Luck. More important than talent. Symbolizing the favor of the will of heaven and earth. So, after testing the power of the Sage Mode, she directly assigned Leo the position of the Palace Master. However, Ancient One never dreamed that Leo would have other adventures and be qualified to lift Thor's hammer. Supreme. Does the New York Temple really have a temple guarding wizard? In fact, I think Daniel Drum is more suitable for this position. Master Hamill suggested. You didn't know about this. It seems he still needs experience. Ji Yuyi shook his head. He also blamed Leo a little. After becoming the mage of the palace, he should have sent someone to inform Kamar-Taj. But he didn't notify in time. Supreme. The temple master has not appeared yet. Shouldn't. He fled in panic, didn't he? Baron Mordo looked embarrassed. Odin. Thor. The god in Norse mythology. He actually came to Kamar-Taj in person. However, the person in question never showed up. It was ridiculous. Boom. 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 A series of powerful and resounding sounds exploded. Odin wielded the Spear of Eternity, and the tip collided with the floor tiles, and an astonishing energy tide suddenly erupted, radiating in all directions. Sacred. Majestic. Unquestionable words, at the same time, resounded through the sky. Leo. Come to Kamar-Taj and return Thor's hammer. Otherwise, I will crush Midgard. This is a kind of spiritual magic. After knowing the name of the target, you can call remotely. It was taught to him by Queen Frigga. Under normal circumstances, he would only use it to call the guardian of the Rainbow Bridge, Heimdall. Hiss. Too terrible. He actually burst out with such power. Even Master Hamill and Master Mordo are inferior to him. The King of the Gods. The Supreme Guardian of the Nine Realms. It really lives up to his reputation. Once the Palace Master returns, he will probably face Odin's rage. Fortunately, the Supreme Master is present. Otherwise, the situation will inevitably develop to an uncontrollable point. Coming. The temple wizard who has the same name as Little Radish Head. I hope he can withstand the pressure. I'm so nervous. The temple wizard, the strongest guardian wizard, who can also lift Thor's hammer, what kind of brilliant and talented person would he be? It seems that the Eastern monks are better. Saren, Vincent, Ji Shuangshuang, Luo Weiyang, could not help but whisper, all looking forward to the true appearance of the New York Palace Master. Who is this person? He could even make Thor, the god of thunder, lose face. At this moment, even Baron Mordo and Master Hamill subconsciously held their breath, wanting to see what the Palace Master is like. The Palace Master appointed by the Ancient One must be a dragon among men, right? Huh. What's going on? Am I seeing things? Vishandi is above. The Palace Master is actually Leo. Everyone couldn't help but open their mouths suddenly. It was as if their eyes were popping out. Oh my god. Little carrot head Leo actually became the New York Palace Master. The cloak on his back looks very much like a magic floating cloak. Picture. It's clearly the magic floating cloak. I go. The ancient artifact that is so arrogant by nature actually chose Leo as its master. Did the Ancient One Supreme suffer from Alzheimer's disease? Why did he choose Leo as the temple mage when he had only passed the test of an apprentice mage? Unfair. Saren, Vincent, Ji Shuangshuang, Luo Weiyang, they looked like they hadn't pooped for 3 days, their faces were full of constipation, they were in extreme pain. This feeling, words can't describe it. No words can accurately describe it. Leo was regarded as a joke by everyone. No matter the Western nobles or the Eastern monks, they didn't like him. However, he actually became the strongest guardian mage in New York. It's simply unfair. Leo, when did you become the temple mage? Why wasn't Kamar-Taj notified in time? I respect the decision of the Ancient One. Master Hamill and Baron Mordo were shocked. They suspected that they were hallucinating. The key point is that the facts are in front of them. Even the Ancient One did not object. It can be seen that Leo, as the mage of the palace, is really true. Saul. Is he the temple wizard who stole Thor's hammer? Child. Are you sure? Loki was full of doubts. He had never seen Leo before, and his first reaction was that Leo was not much different from Thor. However, the temple mage who rushed over after hearing the news did not even have all his hair grown. It was really scary. No. The temple master is about 2 meters tall, with muscles all over his body. Although he is also an Oriental man, it is totally inconsistent with him. Saul pondered. At this moment, he began to doubt his life. It seems that the New York temple has 2 temple masters. Up to 2 meters. Muscles all over the body. Ancient One frowned slightly when she heard this. Then, she also saw the Thor's hammer held by Leo. Sure enough, Leo has other unknown secrets. Otherwise, how could he lift the Thor's hammer? The King of Gods actually came to Kamar-Taj. It even alarmed the Ancient One Supreme. Huh. Etc. Why is Odin's aura so strong on the outside but weak on the inside? Give me a feeling of being hollowed out. Leo pondered for a moment, and suddenly realized. Oh my god. Weak god Loki. No wonder. He didn't perceive the existence of Odin's power. It is very likely that the King of Gods is the weak god Loki in disguise. Of course, Leo has no evidence. Even the Supreme Sorcerer did not question Odin's true identity. What right did he have to question it? Boom. A dull echo spread. The Uru hammer engraved with magic patterns fell to the ground. Return the original item. I have no interest in Thor's hammer, because I don't want to become a hammer god. Leo's face was full of indifference. From beginning to end, he did not show any fear or shock. Undoubtedly, he showed a master's demeanor. Even Ancient One couldn't help but secretly admire him. It seems that appointing him as the New York Palace Master is still a very correct decision. God of Hammers. Leo, are you crazy? They actually laughed at the god of thunder in Norse mythology. He really became the temple master. Who slapped me? It's totally unjust. Saren, Ji Shuang, Vincent, Luo Weiyang couldn't help but widen their eyes, their faces full of grief and indignation, as if they had overturned a bottle of 5 flavors, and their moods were extremely complicated. We were all standing at the same starting line. However, you actually took off on the spot. Magic apprentice, trainee wizard, formal wizard, elite wizard, guardian wizard. Directly jumped over 2 levels. What's more, there are only 3 temple wizards. New York, Hong Kong City, London. Even the great wizard king who had never spoken was surprised. What the hell? Leo has become the palace mage. The king looked solemn. But a sense of shock emerged from the depths of his eyes. Even the disheveled magic apprentice beside him narrowed his eyes slightly. King, it seems that you are also a temple mage. The magic apprentice was thin and unkempt, like a homeless person on the street. He was wearing the plain training clothes that were standard for beginners and kept looking around. He had just arrived in Kamar-Taj. As a result, he ran into this once-in-a-century event. Stephen, your curiosity may hurt you. The king remained calm. He had no intention of responding to the magic apprentice's chat. After all, it was the first time for him to see Odin, the king of the gods, and Thor, the legendary god of thunder. No wonder you've always been single. Stephen shrugged. Immediately, he turned his attention to the temple mage. His eyes were fixed on the magic cloak behind Leo, and he felt a faint pain in his heart. Why? He actually felt physically unwell. Hammer god. You actually called me the Hammer God. Do you really think you are invincible? Thor was furious when he heard this. The familiar name made him confirm Leo's true identity. However, a series of question marks emerged in his mind. The temple mage was almost the same size as him. Why? At this moment, he turned into a child whose hair had not even grown out. It was outrageous. The next moment, Thor put aside his worries and walked straight to Thor's hammer, intending to lift Mjolnir again to prove his great power. What happened? Did you cast a spell on me? I can't even lift Mjolnir. A hoarse roar echoed. Thor used all his strength to hold the handle of Meowth, and his legs continued to exert force. The whole person was lying on his back. His teeth were grinding. However, even so, he couldn't move Thor's hammer at all, as if he was abandoned by Mjolnir. In front of the crowd, he was completely humiliated. He was regarded as a huge joke. Is he really Thor? Why can't Thor lift his hammer? No way. Mjolnir thinks Thor isn't qualified to lift it. No way. And Leo can lift Thor's hammer. What does it mean? Leo is the qualified one. Everyone took a breath of cold air at the same time. They almost suspected that they were hallucinating. However, the facts were in front of them. Everyone's eyelids twitched wildly. Odin. Facing this situation, what will he do? In prehistoric times, Odin, the king of the gods, once wielded Mjolnir, and worked side by side with the first supreme magician Agamotto to repel a group of cosmic gods. Odin must be qualified to lift Thor's hammer. What's more, the golden spear held by the king of the gods is also a legendary artifact in Norse mythology, an eternal spear with the characteristic of never missing a shot. Kungunir. It was forged by the dwarf king Etri himself. It can also mobilize the power of the Rainbow Bridge. Its power surpasses Mjolnir. Leo. You really have bad intentions. Placed an arcane spell on Mjolnir. It made Thor embarrassed in public. You must lift the spell, kneel down and apologize before you can understand this matter. Otherwise, I will raise Kamar-Taj to the ground. The king of the gods had a ferocious look on his face, as if a god was about to get angry, which once again caused the sky to change. Extremely severe storms and rainstorms seemed to be pouring down at any time. Roar! 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 The Asgardian warriors who were lined up in battle array responded to the order of the king of the gods without any prior agreement, and hurriedly let out a sonorous roar. Vishanti is above. Could it be that Asgard really intends to go to war with Kamar-Taj? Leo, apologize quickly. Undo the arcane spell you have cast. The Ancient One Supreme. You should give the orders yourself. Everyone couldn't help but hold their heads and go crazy, and suddenly felt trembling and despair. Odin, the Lord of the Aesir. The supreme ruler of the 9 realms. Once the war starts, Kamar-Taj will be razed to the ground. Even the protective shield protecting the real world may be shattered. However, at this moment, Leo suddenly discovered the problem. If he is really Odin, he should be able to see that I didn't cast any spell at all. Never mind. Let's test it. Buzz. Thor's hammer rose from the ground and returned to Leo's hand. The next moment, fiery sparks burst out. Mjolnir was thrown to a very far place. As for Leo, he instantly moved behind the king of the gods. His face was full of ridicule. You know, Thor's hammer will return to its owner regardless of obstacles. Certainly. If you were Odin, you should be able to control Mjolnir perfectly. The malicious words rang in Odin's ears. Everyone was stunned. Even the supreme sorcerer did not react. What the hell? Leo actually dared to blaspheme the God King. Bold. Come back soon. Are you going to kill Kamar-Taj? Baron Mordo and Master Hamel could not help but burst into anger. They were undoubtedly annoyed by Leo's overstepping of boundaries. After all, Odin had fought side by side with the first supreme sorcerer Agamotto. He should be considered everyone's elder. How can a younger generation bully an elder? It's simply treasonous. However, a deafening sonic boom resounded through the sky. The meow hammer that was thrown into the distance was approaching at a very fast speed. Good. Good. You win. The king of the gods changed his appearance, and suddenly lifted the disguise magic, returning to his original evil and crazy appearance. His black hair fell on his shoulders, and his face was full of panic. The weak god Loki. The god of mischief in Norse mythology. The god of lies and tricks. He is an excellent shapeshifter and magician. He is regarded as the best magician in the 9 realms by Asgard. What? Not Odin. It turns out that the king of gods was this person in disguise from the beginning to the end. Loki. He should be Loki, the god of lies and tricks. No wonder. The temple mage dared to offend the king of gods. He had already seen through Odin's true identity. A burst of whispers rang out. Everyone couldn't believe their eyes. Then, a huge rage emerged at the same time. Being fooled by the weak god Loki in public. It's so shameful. If looks could kill, I'm afraid the weak god Loki would have died 10,000 times. Really? I shouldn't have believed in your plan. Thor's face turned pale. He wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. His toes dug out a stark tower. It was extremely embarrassing. At this moment, the two of them were like clowns whose true colors were revealed. They felt like they were falling into an ice cave and almost dared not speak loudly. Etc. The 100 Asgardian soldiers are not real. I go. Even Master Hamel doesn't have such superb camouflage ability, right? Saren, Luo Weiyang, Ji Shuangshuang, and Vincent couldn't help but widen their eyes and marveled again. The next moment, the 100 Asgardian soldiers suddenly took off their disguises and turned into 100 dwarfs. The tall and mighty Asgardian soldiers turned into dwarfs one after another. The unprecedented visual impact was simply jaw-dropping. Ancient One Supreme. What should be done with Thor and Loki? Notify the King of Gods to redeem people. Leo. What suggestions do you have? Listening to everyone's words, the Supreme Mage suddenly changed the subject and a satisfied smile appeared on his lips. Suggestion. Why not detain the two temporarily? Cleaning in Kamar-Taj. Leo's face was full of goodwill. However, the weak god Loki didn't buy it. What? You're planning on ordering the noble son of Odin to clean up? Are you kidding? The majesty of God cannot be desecrated. Loki's face was ferocious. The next moment, two daggers popped out from his sleeves. The first magician in the 9 realms, good at close combat. Even Leo didn't think there was anything wrong. After all, the introductory course of Kamar-Taj was the ancient Oriental martial arts. Not allowed to blaspheme. Earth is not a place where the Aesir can run wild. Leo narrowed his eyes slightly. Immediately, he suddenly spread his 5 fingers, and the Omega-level telekinesis erupted, as if he had transformed into an invisible big hand. He slapped the weak god Loki directly through the air. Pa! The crisp slap echoed. The weak god Loki fell directly to a very far place like a kite that had lost its line. He couldn't even get up. Heimdall! Take us back! Thor shouted hurriedly. Before he finished speaking, the 7-color rainbow light enveloped the 2 sons of Odin, and even the hundreds of dwarves were included, and they were transported to the unreachable Asgard one after another. They disappeared without a trace. Ran. Coward. Ha! Today is enough to go down in history. It will definitely leave a strong mark in Kamar-Taj. Long live the Temple Mage. Vincent, are you praising Leo? Saren. Luo Weiyang couldn't help but frowned, not at all happy, but felt sick. The little carrot head despised by everyone. He actually jumped to become the Temple Mage. Since ancient times, there has never been such a precedent. Sure enough, the Supreme Mage was bewitched by the dimensional demon. Kamar-Taj must undergo a reform. Grandfather was right. How could a normal human being survive for 1,000 years? Handing Kamar-Taj over to such a monster will sooner or later bring disaster. Saren's eyes were deep. He had always been planning for his grandfather's instructions. However, there was no evidence to expose the Ancient One for the time being. Clap. Clap. A round of applause rang out. The Supreme Sorcerer clapped his hands, signaling everyone to be quiet quickly. Mordo. Hamel. There are other mystic mages. First of all, I want to thank Leo for a scroll of Immortal's legacy was found in the interlayer of the code. During this period of time, I have appropriately simplified and improved the spells recorded in the Immortal's legacy, and they have become effective in spreading and popularizing them. What? The Immortal's will. Found by Leo. A series of question marks appeared in everyone's mind, and they couldn't help but stare at each other, feeling puzzled and confused about the words of the Supreme Mage. Only a few people thought of the competition in the arena. The move that almost seriously injured Saren. Could it be the magical technique recorded in the Immortal's will? Indeed. The book calls it Sage Mode. Once opened, you can absorb the natural energy between heaven and earth and use it for your own benefit. Certainly. Because there is a reading threshold. I used all my life's learning to simplify and improve. Everyone can basically practice now. The Supreme Mage strode to the center of the arena. Immediately, he began to pinch his fingers and chant, showing a simplified version of the Sage Mode. A buzzing sound rang out. The next moment, 2 blood-red stripes appeared on the Supreme Mage's thin face, and even his power became stronger. Woo! Woo woo woo! One after another, the cosmic spiritual energy, like substance, continuously penetrated into the deep pores of Ancient One and began to nourish her body. However, this state did not last long. After all, it was just a simplified version. The time limit appeared again. About 5 minutes. The magic power of the Ancient One seemed to have doubled. If all disciples can practice Sage Mode, there is no need to fear Asgard at all. Really. I hate Loki so much when I think of him. Everyone couldn't help but burst into a heated discussion. They were especially looking forward to the Sage mode. At this moment, everyone finally understood the real reason why Leo was promoted to the Palace Master and won the recognition of the magic floating cloak. It was because of a volume of Sage's will. The secret code that could make the Supreme Sorcerer marvel was undoubtedly a masterpiece among masterpieces. Just shit luck. Who can guarantee that he will always be favored by the goddess of luck? Saren, Luo Weiyang, as if they had overturned a jar of vinegar, sour to the point of being unrecognizable. They couldn't help but get sarcastic. However, no one can take away Leo's identity as the mage of the palace. No matter how envious and jealous everyone is, they have to practice the simplified immortal mode of the Ancient One. Supreme. What is the difference between the simplified version and the original version? Baron Mordo bowed and asked hurriedly. The simplified version has a time limit. Ancient One stopped talking briefly. Time limit. Could it be that? The original version has no time limit. Everyone subconsciously took a breath of cold air. Powerful magic without a time limit is simply hard to come by. It would be nice if I could read the immortal's will. The disheveled homeless man couldn't help but mutter. Then, he suddenly raised his head, and his wise eyes met the eyes of the temple mage. He actually felt a strange feeling that he had nothing to hide. It was as if he had no secrets at all. Huh. Stephen Strange. What happened? Tony Stark hasn't even transformed into Iron Man, but Stephen Strange has appeared in Kamar-Taj. Even if I were in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this kind of bug wouldn't happen, right? Leo looked calm. In fact, he was shocked. He could hardly believe his eyes. Stephen Strange. Called the best mystic wizard ever by the Ancient One. Possessing a photographic memory and a super high IQ comparable to that of Stark and his son, as an excellent neurosurgeon, he solved countless difficult surgeries. However, a car accident completely ruined his life. In order to heal his hands, Stephen Strange came to Kamar-Taj, and only then did he discover his true mission. So, he inherited the will of the Ancient One, transformed into Doctor Strange, and was determined to defend the order and stability of the real world. It seems that Strange's hands are not injured. Oh my god. Leo keenly perceived the situation of Doctor Strange. Immediately, a certain variant of Stephen Strange emerged in his mind. The Black Doctor. In a parallel universe, Stephen Strange did not lose his hands, but lost his beloved Christine. In order to resurrect Christine, Strange used the Time Stone and tried to reverse the past again and again. However, Christine's death belongs to the absolute time point of the parallel universe. Once reversed, the whole world will collapse. However, the Black Doctor, who was already in a state of panic, went to the lost city of Cagliostro, used forbidden means, and began to forcibly absorb the power of magical creatures. In the end, the Black Doctor successfully reversed the absolute time point. It also caused the fragmentation of the plane he was in. No way. The timeline I am in is the parallel dimension reversed by the Black Doctor. Leo pondered for a moment and realized the seriousness of the problem. The Supreme Sorcerer must be reminded. Doctor Strange is forbidden to touch the Eye of Agamotto. However, the Supreme Sorcerer favors Stephen Strange very much and regards him as his successor to be trained. Whether in the movie version or the play, it is a green light all the way. The Supreme Sorcerer personally guides the practice. He may not listen to Leo's opinion. It seems. I have to be the next Sorcerer Supreme. Leo sighed. Then, he made a quick decision. Since ancient times, the Eye of Agamotto has been the anchor symbol of the Sorcerer Supreme. Ordinary people are not qualified to touch it. If Strange did not have the aura of the protagonist, there would be no possibility of touching the Eye of Agamotto. Leo. You have to be careful. Loki won't give up. There is also a possibility that they will directly attack the New York Temple. The Supreme Sorcerer came to Leo's side, with concern in her eyes. It seemed that she had foreseen the future. Attack the temple. Loki has such a skill. Wait. Loki may have this ability. Leo's body was shocked. In his mind, he couldn't help but think of the ultimate weapon forged from Uru god steel. The Destroyer armor. In order to compete with the Celestials, Odin, the king of the gods, created this armor using the legendary metal of Asgard. Even the other Earth Fathers blessed this armor. The armor itself has no soul and is full of extremely violent consciousness. Only the Spear of Eternity can control the armor and control the ultimate weapon invented by Odin. Even the normal Thor is no match for the destroyer armor. Once Odin goes into hibernation and the weak god Loki takes away the Spear of Eternity, it might be possible to teleport the destroyer armor to the New York temple. Leo frowned slightly. At the same time, a colorful teleportation door slowly opened. The burly black wizard, Daniel Drum, appeared in front of everyone. Venerable. Traces of unknown creatures appeared outside the New York temple. The shape is very much like a metal armor. Daniel Drum's face was full of anxiety. Before he finished speaking, Leo's pupils shrank violently. Oh my god. He actually came. Leo. Be safe. The Supreme Mage said with trust. Chow. Gone. Why not give me some magic weapons to protect myself? Leo said. Crossing the teleportation gate, he came to the New York temple again, and suddenly there was a thunderous roar in his ears. Looking through the skylight at the busy streets, a noisy and chaotic scene came into view. Cassius led the guardian mages, trying their best to resist the approach of a strong and burly figure. In a farther place, field agent Phil Coulson hid on the side of the obstacle and had set up a cordon to disperse the residents and pedestrians. What's the situation? An indestructible metal armor. They are actually attacking the mage temple. Phil. Where is the temple mage? Hurry up and settle this for me. The tall and mighty one-eyed black man, also hiding in a corner, with a look of doubt on his face, suddenly roared at the intercom. There was no defense against the sudden disaster. The key. Conventional weapons can't cause any damage at all. Even rocket launchers are like scraping. It seems that heavy tanks and armed helicopters must be dispatched. The Earth, which has not yet experienced the Battle of New York, has not reached the level of technology in the future. As for the Quinjet, there is no way to mass produce it, there are only a few prototypes. Director. The temple mage is here. Phil Coulson was as if he had been pardoned, and immediately raised his hand and pointed in a direction. Everyone looked over, their eyes widened, and their brows furrowed. Are you kidding? A child actually appeared on the battlefield. Natasha. Cover the child and evacuate. Director Lu Dan hurriedly instructed. Before he finished speaking, the beautiful girl known as the Black Widow, like a top gymnast with a nimble figure, performed difficult parkour moves and arrived in front of the child in a blink of an eye. Kid. It's very dangerous here. Come with me. The Black Sister showed a brilliant smile. Her burgundy curly hair was draped over her shoulders, her body-shaping uniform outlined her graceful body curves, and her career line was extremely amazing. However, it did not attract the attention of the parties involved. Natasha. Be careful. A short reminder sounded in the earphone. The next moment, a laser beam with a diameter of half a meter, like a speeding comet, shot out from the head of the destroyer armor and rushed straight towards Black Widow. Once it hits, Black Widow will definitely die. There is no way to fight back. Shao Na, Eagle Eye, standing on the commanding heights, couldn't help but have tears in his eyes. However, at this moment, a sonorous and powerful child's voice suddenly exploded in everyone's ears. Seraphim Shield. Buzz. 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 Leo waved his arms and silently chanted a complex spell. The dazzling lines of magic quickly overlapped and intertwined, forming an indestructible giant shield. In front of Kamar-Taj's strongest defensive magic, even the shock beams fired by the destroyer armor seemed insignificant. He successfully resolved it. Silence. It was as if God had pressed the mute button. You could almost hear a pin drop on the entire Bleecker Street. No one dared to breathe loudly. The Temple Master of New York. Is that him? Director Lu Dan was completely confused. He almost suspected that he was hallucinating. However, the facts were in front of him. The evidence was irrefutable. Yes. Director. Phil Coulson nodded solemnly, listening to the words coming from the headset. Black Widow was so ashamed that she wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. She dug out a three-winged building with her toes. Leo. Are you finally willing to show up? How dare you offend the son of great Odin? Be prepared to pay the price. The sinister and cunning voice echoed. Wearing a horned helmet and dark leather clothes, the weak god Loki, holding a golden spear, stepped out of the dust and mist that covered the sky. His face was full of ferocious and fierce. After returning to Asgard, He stole Kungunir while Odin was sleeping without any hesitation and sent the destroyer armor to the earth. As the god of lies and tricks in Norse mythology, his majesty cannot be violated. The shame must be washed away with blood. Loki. Is it really necessary? Send out the destroyer armor. Thor's face was full of resistance. Even though he was always arrogant, he still had his own code of conduct. He would never use force against the weak. However, his brother actually decided to use the destroyer armor to retaliate against the New York Palace mage. It was simply crazy to the extreme. Shut up. God of Hammers. You have no right to order me around. The throne of Asgard should also belong to me. The weak god Loki couldn't help but raise his arms and shout. He almost began to imagine the scene of himself ascending the throne. God of Hammers. Even Loki calls himself that. Thor was extremely angry. At this moment, he finally understood the starting point of the weak god Loki's help. It turned out that he was not sincere, but to prove how incompetent he was. A deafening roar resounded through the sky. The destroyer armor is about 3 meters high. It is forged with the legendary metal of Asgard. It has also been blessed by the earth's talents and enchanted by Odin, the king of the gods. Once, Odin wore the destroyer armor and worked with the prehistoric Avengers to kill a group of cosmic gods who had fallen into madness. Even the frost giant King Laufey could not compete with the power of the destroyer armor. Only the eternal spear can perfectly control the armor. Immune to the mental interference caused by the armor. He actually awakened the destroyer armor directly in Midgard. Once my father finds out about this after escaping Odin's sleep, Loki and I may be severely punished. Thor's face was filled with despair. At this moment, he finally realized what was going on. From the beginning to the end, he was led by the weak god Loki and had no choice at all. Seraphim Shield. The Wind of Vatum. Sally, Cassius, led the guardian wizards of the New York Temple, and continuously cast sharp and swift mystical magic, trying their best to resist the approach of the destroyer armor. The New York Temple. Standing on the key spiritual vein node of the earth. As an important cornerstone of the reality protection shield, it must not be lost. If there is a loophole in the protection shield, the dimensional demons and the devils of hell who are spying on the reality will be ecstatic. Spread the twisted and extreme doctrines through the gap between the two realms. Bring a terrible disaster again. What's more, Mephisto and the heartless demon are still missing. If the father and son put aside their contradictions and decide to cooperate temporarily, and take the opportunity to overthrow the New York Temple, the consequences are simply unimaginable. As for S.H.I.E.L.D., they are completely unqualified to participate in this matter, and can only stay on the periphery to fish in troubled waters to prevent further crises from breaking out and causing panic in the whole society. The Temple Mage. Get rid of the invaders quickly. The Secretary General of the Security Council is putting pressure on me. Later, it is possible to directly launch a Jericho missile to destroy the enemy. The one-eyed director Nick Fury, like a furious bear, came to Leo's side. He was carrying a gift and decided to visit the guardian of the secret world. However, he never dreamed that just when he was about to ring the doorbell, 7-color rainbow light shone on the earth. A strong and strange creature appeared on Bleecker Street. The shape is like Hulk. The super criminal being tracked and captured by General Thunderbolt. However, it is more brave and fierce. Even the rocket launcher can't cause any damage. Jericho Missile. Has Stark invented the Jericho Missile? It seems that he will be kidnapped soon. Leo hesitated for a moment, then smiled. He was not afraid of the destroyer armor. The next moment, the majestic chakra from the one-tailed Shukaku gushed out through the pores, like a lifelike beast coat, directly covering his body. Chakra coat. It can greatly enhance the host's all-round attributes. There is no time limit at all. As Leo performed the primary tailed beast transformation many times, his and the one-tailed Shukaku's spiritual orbits also began to be highly synchronized. Immediately, the color of the tailed beast coat turned into dark red. It almost covered Leo's true face. It seemed that every pore was gushing out hot flames. He seemed to have entered the next realm. Half-tailed beast transformation. Possessing the ability to launch the tailed beast Jade. How can it be? The Temple Mage has become stronger again. What an amazing feeling of oppression. Almost surpassing Mephisto. Sally, Cassius, and other guardian mages all held their breath at the same time, and even their heartbeats paused. The next moment, the tailed beast coat, which seemed to be real, suddenly opened its bloody mouth, and an endless stream of chakra energy gathered, and in the blink of an eye it condensed into a black sphere. The greatest mystery of the tailed beast. The ultimate ninjutsu that changes the chakra form to the extreme. The tailed beast ball. The power is so great that it can almost destroy the entire ninja village. It was razed to the ground in an instant. Of course, so far, Leo has just activated the half-tailed beast form, and has not fully mastered the mystery of the tailed beast ball. It is temporarily impossible to do this. However, even so, the destructive power that the tailed beast ball can cause should not be inferior to a submarine-launched ballistic missile. This is it, the power of magic. Known as the strongest guardian mage in New York, how powerful is he? The Federation actually hides such a terrorist force. And I, as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., was totally unaware of it. It's simply dereliction of duty. Director Lu Dan's face was full of shock. Even though he had never been exposed to occult magic, he felt a sense of crisis. It was as if his scalp was tingling. Even Black Widow couldn't help but take a few steps back. Staring at the black sphere that appeared out of thin air, she was daunted. Phil, no matter what holiday it is, you must come to pay your respects to the guardian mage of the New York Temple. Only by establishing enough friendship can the safety of the entire Star-Spangled Federation be guaranteed. Do you understand? The retreating director Lu Dan couldn't help but give instructions. He handed this glorious and arduous task to the successor he recognized. Got it. Phil Coulson had a simple and honest face. He looked a little dull, but he had realized the intention of his boss. He was not as simple as he seemed. There was basically no useless field agent who could be promoted to level 8 agent. Before he finished speaking, boom! The tailed beast ball, which was as big as a football, pierced through the air and rushed towards the burly figure at the end of the sight. The strongest killer move of the Jinchuriki. The ultimate ninjutsu classified as S-level difficulty. In an instant, it hit the shell of the destroyer armor. A sonic boom of metal clashing exploded in everyone's ears. Clang! Clang clang clang. The destroyer armor's 2 feet were rooted to the ground, and the whole person retreated backwards, leaving a deep pit mark. Idiot. This kind of move is also intended to destroy the legendary metal that is abundant in the Asgard. It's ridiculous to the extreme. The weak god Loki laughed wildly. His face was full of rage and fury. He tightly grasped the spear of eternity, always waiting for the opportunity to move, waiting for the arrival of the palace guardian mage. At this moment, his face was aching, as if his injuries had not healed yet. The temple mage. If this is all your strength is, I'm afraid you won't be able to protect this temple. Before he finished speaking, Loki once again activated the destroyer armor and fired a blazing and dazzling shock ray. The shock ray, with a diameter of half a meter, had already reached its maximum output power. If it hit the New York Temple, the entire temple would collapse. The protective shield protecting the earth would also lose a corner. Finished. Even the temple mage can't resist the enemy. Why was I involved in such a catastrophic event? Notify the Secretary General. Get ready to fire the Jericho missile. Will the Jericho missiles work? Black Widow, Hawkeye, Phil Coulson, and Nick Fury sighed one after another, feeling helpless about the mysterious monster of unknown origin. Ordinary humans are simply not qualified to fight against such an existence. Could it be that the Palace Master will also be defeated and sit back and watch the mysterious monster raze New York to the ground? Etc. Why not summon Captain Marvel to solve this problem? Nick Fury suddenly had an idea. He took out an old pager from his trouser pocket. This was a wireless receiver that was popular in the 1990s. Nick Fury has kept it until now. It can be used to contact the omnipotent Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers. Nick Fury has encountered countless choices in his life. He always planned to use the pager to contact Captain Marvel. However, none of them was as strong as this time. The mysterious monster from the outer world, and the 2 young men who seemed to be role-playing, responsible for defending the guardian wizard of the real world. The situation has become so serious that it cannot be handled. But at this time, a burly and strong blonde man wearing Viking-style armor appeared on the path of the shock ray. He raised the magic broadsword and tried to block the attack of the destroyer armor with his body. My stupid brother. Did he decide to sacrifice his life? It's really touching. Good. As long as you die, I can ascend the throne of Asgard with peace of mind. The weak god Loki was full of pride. He had almost no sympathy for Thor. He even increased the frequency of energy output again. Stop it. Loki. Once the father revives, you will be severely punished. Thor's face was firm. He stood there like a mountain, holding up the magic broadsword, and even blocked the energy beams emitted by the destroyer armor. However, the next moment, the broadsword exploded. Thor fell to a very far place like a kite that had lost its line. He smashed the luxury car parked on the side of the road into a human-shaped collapse. Severe punishment. Don't worry. He will only hear about your death. The weak god Loki has made all the preparations. He intends to put the blame for Thor's death on the temple mage. Indirectly trigger the dispute between Kamar-Taj and Asgard. Completely replace Thor's position. Huh. A burst of lightning burst out from his body. What happened? Have you won the approval of Thor's hammer again? Everyone couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. Immediately, Thor, who was dying, suddenly burst into a burst of lightning. Dark clouds gathered. Even Thor's hammer placed in Kamar-Taj was resonating. The floor tiles were shaking continuously. The brilliance burst out. Sparks flew. The next moment, it actually rose straight up from the ground, followed the will of the master, and returned directly to Thor's hands. Once again endowed him with the indestructible power of Thor. What? Impossible. The weak god Loki was puzzled. Thor, who was abandoned by Meow Meow Hammer, actually raised the hammer again. What is the principle behind this? Even Thor himself was puzzled. You finally realized the true meaning of self-sacrifice. Son of Odin. The resounding childish voice echoed. At some point, Leo appeared beside him, with a look of pretentiousness on his face. It was as if he had replaced the king of the gods and conducted a test on Thor. Sacrifice yourself for others. Thor couldn't help but ponder after hearing this. At this moment, he compared his current behavior with his past behavior. Because the palace master used the power of thunder and lightning, he was directly teleported to the Death Town to find trouble. What is the difference between this and Loki's behavior? No wonder. Mjolnir chose to abandon him. The Venerable. I understand. Thor was humble. At the critical moment, he had realized the true meaning of being a god. The power of Thunder God should be used to protect the weak. Etc. Son of Odin. You call him the son of Odin. Odin, the main god in Norse mythology. Could it be? Is he Thor? The hammer in his hand is Mjolnir. Black Widow, Hawkeye, Phil Coulson, and Nick Fury looked at each other in bewilderment. They were undoubtedly horrified by Thor's true identity. The god of thunder from the Aesir. As for the other invader, his true identity was revealed. Loki. The god of mischief in Norse mythology. The god of lies and trickery. My god. It turns out that in this world, not only do there exist guardian mages with great powers, but even the legendary gods are alive. Are there any aliens? Black Widow, Hawkeye, and other field agents couldn't help but shrank their pupils and whispered. Some alien. Your director of the Bureau of Stewed Eggs has seen it with his own eyes. In the 1990s, he was involved in an interstellar conflict. Leo told the story. In an instant. His words shocked all the SHIELD agents and also shocked Nick Fury. Even what happened in the 1990s was seen by the New York Temple. Ding. Frog is back home. Your frog brought back a souvenir from your trip. Pay attention to check it in time. A pleasant reminder sound echoed. Leo couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Just came back. He thought Frog died outside. Obviously he had too much fun. Fortunately, Frog finally came home. He couldn't wait to check the travel souvenirs Frog brought back. Of course, the disaster caused by the weak god Loki must be resolved as soon as possible. If the destroyer armor is allowed to do whatever it wants, it may really cause the destruction of the New York Temple and lead to a series of catastrophes. Venerable. Let me deal with the destroyer. This is the ultimate weapon forged from Uru steel, and only Thor's hammer can destroy it. Thor swung the hammer, like an arrow shot from a bow, and suddenly rose from the ground. Immediately, he appeared in front of the destroyer armor, swung the Meowth hammer vigorously, and directly hit the ultimate weapon from bottom to top to a height of 10,000 feet. The power of Thor. It is also regarded as the inherited power of the Aesir. After he suddenly realized the true meaning of being born as a god, the inherited power hidden deep in his blood also burst out completely. The whole person's attributes soared in all directions. Even the weak god Loki couldn't help but widen his eyes and clench the eternal spear again. Tear Thor to pieces for me. The weak god Loki was furious and could not help but roar. He controlled the destroyer armor through Kungunir and made his last struggle. However, the endless thunder was led by Thor, who rose to the sky. The next moment, the Meow Meow hammer roared with thunder and lightning. It actually shattered the powerful ultimate weapon in an instant. Pieces of metal fell to the ground one after another. Boom. Boom boom boom. There were dull and melodious echoes. Ulu Kabelko. The legendary metal that is abundant in Asgard is more powerful than vibranium and adamantium. Must be recycled as soon as possible. It cannot fall into the hands of other criminal organizations. Especially Kingpin. Phil Coulson and Nick Fury looked at each other and quickly mobilized the rapid response team to search the city, trying not to miss any piece of metal debris. If the destroyer armor could be reforged, it would undoubtedly be more tempting. Sally. You are responsible for recovering the wreckage of Ulu Kabelko. I believe Director Fury will be very happy to cooperate with you. Leo stopped talking briefly. Before he finished speaking. Sharp eyes fixed on the one-eyed director one after another. Nick Fury's face turned green. It seems that his recasting plan is about to fail. Willing. I'm happy to do so. Director Lu Dan smiled kindly. Then, he suddenly came to his senses. Even though Thor had solved the problem of the destroyer armor, the person who caused the disaster had not yet been arrested. Huh. Disappeared. Is he really the god of lies and trickery, not the god of escape? Black Widow and Hawkeye were stunned. Even the two top agents who had experienced hundreds of battles did not notice when the weak god Loki left. It can be seen that the weak god Loki's escape skills are well deserved to be the best in the 9 realms. I hope S.H.I.E.L.D. can handle this properly. The secrets of the New York Temple do not need to be exposed to the outside world. Everyone, please come in. Leo remained calm. Immediately, he made an inviting gesture. The door of the New York Temple slowly opened. The retro decoration style came into view. A solemn and elegant ascending staircase was located at the end of the site. The entire hall was filled with various styles of cultural relics and utensils. There was also a bronze tripod with 2 ears and 3 legs standing silently in the corner. Careful. This is the Cosmic Cauldron. Daniel Drum hastily reminded. The Cosmic Cauldron. It's clearly a big pot. Everyone looked strange. Then, following the guidance of the Guardian Wizard, they sat down on the sofa. Entering the mysterious New York Temple for the first time, everyone felt like a thorn in the back, a fishbone stuck in the throat, and sitting on pins and needles. Lord Leo. I have to return to Asgard in time to inform my mother. We must also retrieve the Spear of Eternity to prevent Loki from causing a greater crisis. Thor hesitated for a moment and decided to leave the New York Temple. Before that, I need to remind you. Saul. Beware of the frost giants. Leo stopped talking briefly. Immediately, he raised his hand and created a portal, sending Thor to Asgard. Frost giant. Hey. The place that just flashed by, is it the Immortal Palace? My god. Even though they had seen the portal once before, they couldn't help but marvel at it again. Black Widow, Hawkeye, Nick Fury, and Phil Coulson all widened their eyes one after another, and had a clearer understanding of the abilities that the Guardian Mage possessed. With this ability, one can reach any corner of the universe almost instantly. Even the most advanced weapon defense system will become useless. Everyone's eyes lit up. Magic must defeat magic. As for the affairs of the mortal world, we are not qualified to interfere. Leo reminded. Immediately, he asked Daniel Drum to entertain everyone, and as for himself, he temporarily hid in the house. He immersed his consciousness into the innate travel space. Ding! In the mailbox, the travel souvenir brought back by Frog was like a scientific research notebook. There were countless runes and formulas depicted on it. This is Hextech Research Manual. This book records the professional knowledge of Hextech in detail. His Hextech Research Manual. Author Gesteris. Frog actually ran to Valoran. Piltover. He got all the Hextech blueprints that Jace had not yet completed. It's simply amazing. Hextech. In fact, it refers to a new product that successfully merges magic and technology. With Hextech crystals as the original driving force. It can also be called rune technology. Through this technology, even the effect of the ultimate move of the Wandering Mage Rise, the Warp, can be perfectly reproduced. If Leo can perfectly master Hextech, and restore the rune technology of Piltover in this world, the overall strength of Kamar-Taj will undoubtedly soar. Good. Frog has made a contribution. Leo was overjoyed. Immediately, he bought a portion of Buddha jumps over the wall to reward Frog. The fragrant and delicious ingredients were put into the big jar, as if you could smell an alluring aroma at the tip of your nose. The next moment, he began to concentrate on studying the Hextech research manual. With his amazing memory ability, he directly saw through the core secrets of Hextech. The key to the problem lies in Hextech crystal. This magic crystal comes from the Shell people who sleep underground in the Shurima Desert area of the Valoran continent. It is an important organ of the Shell people. Heart. Once it is missing, the Shell people will not be able to survive and will die quickly. Therefore, Hextech is limited to the spread of the Twin Cities, and it cannot be promoted on a large scale, but it is enough to prove the toughness of Hextech. Kamar-Taj. There are countless materials that can serve as energy cores. Even vibranium can have the same effect. It is said that in the underwater world, there is a legendary substance called magnetite, which has similar effects. No matter how bad it is. There are also infinite gems condensed from the essence of the singularity. Leo thought for a moment and then showed a brilliant smile. As long as the energy problem is solved, other troubles are not a big deal. After all, the top manufacturing master in the Marvel world is in the Stark building 100 meters away from the New York Temple. He doesn't mind rescuing the future world-famous superhero. Tony Stark in advance. People cursed by knowledge will be pursued by all knowledge, and can master any complex skills in the shortest time, with full learning ability. Moreover, they have the wisdom to solve all scientific problems. They can constantly stimulate the potential hidden in the brain. Even their charm is max. In the Marvel world, people cursed by knowledge can be counted on 2 hands. Stark and Sons. Banner. Stephen Strange. Mr. Fantastic. Arnim Zora. Dr. Doom. Hank the Beast. The original Ant-Man. Besides, Thanos. The Cosmic Emperor entrenched in the Dark Quadrant. An Eternal known as the Mad Titan. Even the most powerful interstellar villains have to submit to him. Thanos. He believes that the universe has cancer, the growing population crisis, and the young gods sleeping deep in the planets will inevitably lead to the self-destruction of the multiverse. Therefore, he began to collect the whereabouts of the Infinity Stones. He decided to bear all the sins alone and purify this bloated world on the verge of extinction. Of course, no matter what, Leo will never allow Thanos to snap his fingers. Even the young gods that may break out of the ground at any time will be strangled in the cradle. Defend the stability of the real world. Dr. Devil, we can't let down our guard either. We must deploy spies and keep a close eye on Strange's behavior. Leo's eyes were deep. He didn't want the world he lived in to really be destroyed. If necessary, he could kill Dr. Devil. As for what the Supreme Sorcerer thought, who cares? Without using the Time Stone, Ancient One might not be able to match Shazam's power. Ding. Frog's friends came to visit. Pay attention to receiving him in time. What the hell? A friend came to visit. It was completely different from the prompt tone he had heard before. Who could have come to the travel space? So far, Frog has been to several worlds like this. Superpowers out of control. Ninja world. Under the aliens. DC universe. Secondly, it is the Valoran continent. It doesn't matter who visits him. The issue is, how can I enter the travel space? Leo couldn't help but worry. That's right. In Tweak's mind, there is a secret method of astral projection. His physical body can't enter the travel space, but his spirit should be fine. The next moment, he was seen sitting cross-legged, chanting complicated spells, as if he had unloaded a long-standing burden, and a sense of lightness swept over him. Leo's spirit floated in the air. He could see another self sitting cross-legged on the ground. This feeling was simply wonderful to the extreme. Even the fatigue was swept away. Ding. The consciousness sank into the travel space. He opened his eyes again. Waves of natural grass and wood fragrance came to his face. In the field, the clover swayed in the wind, and a crisp sound like a silver bell was heard. Not far away, a little girl with short blue hair and a baby face could be seen walking in the shade of the garden, chasing the flying butterflies. Her face was full of joy. Huh. Boom. It's her. Leo couldn't help but his eyelids twitching. Boom. It's actually Jinx. It seems that the plot of the Battle of the Two Cities has not officially started. Frog not only ran to Piltover, but also traveled to Zon. And got to know Boom. Are you the frog's owner? Wow. I thought you would be a serious middle-aged man. She is almost the same age as me. Bao Bao's eyes sparkled, like a little angel from heaven, lively, and has not yet evolved into a crazy and violent loli in the future. She even seemed a little timid. Originally, Bao Bao was quite cramped, and felt shy about visiting Frog's home. But after she came to Frog's residence, facing the green grass and blue sky that was different from Bottom City, she subconsciously started to have fun. Bottom City. There is almost no similarity with the fresh air of Piltover. It is full of dirty and smelly sewage. There are wastes everywhere. Even breathing will produce a granular feeling that burns the throat. However, Frog's home is like a paradise, it is simply beautiful. How nice it would be if I could live here with Wei. Wei Ailai. She is the most important relative in her life. No one else. However, fate played a big joke on her. In the near future, she and Wei will be separated for several years. When they meet again, they will become opponents with different positions. Pitiful. If Bakugo's story is slightly rewritten, will she still become the impulsive and willful Jinx? Leo couldn't help but sigh. The next moment, in the shop of the travel space, he began to carefully select. Among the dazzling array of props, he not only found the magic float cloak, but also saw a hammer. Thor's hammer. Mjolnir. Oh my god. Things that have been held for a period of time can also be used as your own items and appear in the store. Make a fortune. Immediately, he saw a string of zeros in the price column of the Meow Meow hammer. Affordable. However, my savings may also be reduced to zero. Leo's face was full of constipation. Do you really want to give such a valuable gift to Baku? It's better to equip Frog with it. With the magic floating cloak and Thor's hammer, it can almost play the role of Frog Thor. Wait. Hex Research Manual. After all, Baku's scientific talent is almost as good as Jestera's. In childhood, he began to make weapons with various waste materials. As for when he grew up, he studied hex gems alone and successfully invented the Ultra-Death Missile. Anyway, Leo has memorized the Hex Technology Research Manual in his mind, so he might as well give it to Baku directly. Leo. Is Frog home? I want to continue arm wrestling with it. Bao Bao's face was full of innocence. Then, he rolled up his sleeves, revealing his skin as white as cream. Arm wrestling. Leo was quite surprised when he heard this. Yes. Frog came to Fugan Tavern and arm wrestled with me, Violet, and he lost several times. Boom couldn't help but brag. What? Lost? No way. Frog, who had studied in Myoboku Mountain, could lose to Boom. However, Leo thought about it and soon felt relieved. Frog must not be serious. Maybe he just wanted to make Boom happy, right? Frog is taking a rest. Every time it returns from a trip, it sleeps for a day. Correct. This is a gift prepared by Frog. Remember to study it carefully. Leo smiled and handed over a notebook. Open double-angle bracket Hextech Research Manual. What is this? After flipping through a few pages, Bao Bao was completely confused. She had no idea about the Hextech technology that had not yet appeared. However, she regarded the Hextech Research Manual as her own treasure and would study it carefully. Oops. Vandal said that if someone gives you a gift, you must remember to return the favor. I don't seem to have anything valuable. Bao Bao couldn't help but laugh and mutter. At the same time, a pleasant reminder sounded. Ding. You received a return gift from your friend. Huh. Bakugo actually prepared a return gift. Leo was surprised. The next moment, in the mailbox of the travel space, he found Bakugo's return gift. Shooting Mastery. The host will have a talent for shooting that never misses a shot. Note. It should be useful. Hiss. This evaluation. It seems to make sense. I really like your return gift. Explosion. Frog House will always open its doors to you. Leo said with sincerity. After all, Jinx grew up to be a graceful lady. Even if she suffered from hysterical mania, she was still a violent beauty. It was pitiful. Good. I really should go back now. I hope Fandel and Wei are not waiting too long. Boom Boom waved his hand. Then he walked along the garden path, heading for a more distant place. He soon disappeared without a trace. I hope I can change the fate of Bao Bao. Leo sighed. Then, he opened the mall page again, spent all his clovers, and bought a Thor's hammer. He put it directly in Frog's backpack. Magic floating cape. Meow hammer. Frog can almost call himself Frog Thor. No matter which world he travels to, there will be no danger. The Venerable. The director of S.H.I.E.L.D. has left and completed the aftermath. No one in the world has discovered the existence of the New York Temple. Just a lady who stayed on her own initiative and wanted to join the temple. I will take you as my teacher. After Leo's spirit returned to his body and he meditated for a while, a shining portal slowly opened. Daniel Drum, with a wry smile on his face, reported the truth. What? Join the temple? Leo couldn't help but frown slightly. Madam, could it be Black Widow? Crossing the teleportation gate. As expected. A familiar beautiful figure, with her back to him, looked at the entire New York temple with interest. The dark body-shaping uniform showed her graceful curves. The burgundy curly hair swirled playfully. Black Widow. Natasha Romanoff. Trained by the Red Room organization, she underwent an inhumane castration operation in her childhood to remove her reproductive organs. In the Budapest incident, she was inspired by Hawkeye Clint Barton and jumped directly to S.H.I.E.L.D. In just a few years, she was promoted to a level 7 agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is deeply trusted by Nick Fury. Moreover, Black Widow can be regarded as a talented and beautiful woman. She is not only proficient in multiple languages, but also good at disguise and disguise. Even her acting skills have reached Oscar level. Lord Leo. Mr. Drum, I should have told you my feelings. I have absolutely no intention of lurking in the New York Temple. Just thinking of the Venerable who saved my life. I want to repay you. Black Widow seemed to have sensed something, turned around, and suddenly revealed a delicate face, without makeup, but without a single flaw. Her eyebrows and eyes were like paintings. She exuded strong female hormones. Her attitude was extremely sincere. She didn't lie. It might also be that her acting skills were too good. Black Widow. Born in the 1980s. Her life story in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is different from other versions. However, it is the same tragedy. If nothing unexpected happens, according to the plot development in the play, she will sacrifice her life in exchange for the soul gem of the past time and space. Venerable. Mortals should not stay here. Sally and Cassius expressed their opinions one after another, and a rift had already appeared between the two sides. Due to Leo's strong strength and a series of disasters, he had won the trust of other guardian mages. As for Cassius, his right to speak in the New York Temple was almost gone. He had no sense of existence at all. The Venerable. I have no objection. Daniel Drum nodded. Of course, he knew something about Black Widow. A level 7 agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Since the New York Temple is located in the territory of the Stars and Stripes Federation, it must abide by the laws of the Stars and Stripes Federation. All right. You can stay here. After all, the New York Temple needs cleaning too. Can you accept it? Leo stood in the void, his face remained unchanged. At this moment, he was no different from the master of the New York Temple. Almost no one dared to oppose his decision in person. Even Cassius could only say a few words in his heart. Certainly. I am good at housework. The Black Widow's face was full of joy. The next moment, she picked up the cleaning tools placed in the corner and began to deal with the dust accumulated in the corners. Ding. Frog is traveling. Your frog boy will send you photos and greeting cards anytime. Pay attention to check it in time. Going out. Good. Leo couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He is looking forward to the travel specialties and souvenirs that Frog brought back. Frog's products must be high quality. Next, I should try to verify the relevant knowledge of Hextech. After all, Hextech can greatly enhance the overall strength of the Guardian Mage. Kamar-Taj can gain a foothold in the secret world because the wise predecessors have developed a two-finger hanging ring. So far, only the supreme mage can master the method of making the hanging ring. Even if a wild mage gets a hanging ring by chance, there is no way to reverse the principle and replicate it. Therefore, Kamar-Taj will become the leader of the magic world. Sally. How is the recycling of Uru Kogan going? Leo thought for a moment and decided to use Uru Kogan to create the first batch of Hextech. However, Sally shook her head. The Venerable. The remains of the destroyer armor, there is no way to track them. So far, the only Uru steel that Shield has recovered is one arm. One arm. Leo couldn't help but sigh. It seems that there is no material to carry out the research of Hextech for the time being. The Venerable. A message from a secret society in San Francisco. The international criminal organization Black Hand is collecting magical items. Even the Black Shadow Corps has reappeared. Daniel Drum suddenly said. What? Secret society? Black Hand Gang. Could it be that the plot of Jackie Chan Adventures has also begun? Leo was thoughtful. He undoubtedly had a very deep impression of the classic cartoon works of his childhood. He even often imagined that he had obtained the 12 talismans with boundless magic power and could do whatever he wanted. The 12 talismans. They came from the fire demon lord who had dominated the eastern continent twice. After being sealed by the petrification magic of the dragon fighter Lope, not only did the lord become an immobile coiled dragon sculpture, but even his own abilities were divided into 12 talismans. Scattered all over the world. Until the lord's sculpture saw the light of day again, using the lost treasure of the Golden Rooster King as bait to seduce the Black Hand Gang to find the 12 talismans for him. Natasha. Does Shield know where the Black Hand's headquarters is? Leo hesitated for a moment, then appeared beside Black Widow and asked in a friendly manner. Black Hand Gang. Wait a minute. Black Widow hurriedly dialed Nick Fury's hotline as if hearing heavenly music. Repaying a favor. It's all a lie. Her real purpose is to lurk in the New York Temple, to track and investigate the New York Temple as the eyes and ears of Director Lu Dan. As long as she is sure that the New York Temple is not a threat, she can apply to leave and transfer to other places. The key is that Black Widow is not qualified to participate in the core affairs of the New York Temple for the time being. She must prove her worth as soon as possible. Good. I understand. After hanging up the phone, Black Widow received a text message on her communicator. Located on the top floor of the Transamerica Pyramid, a landmark building in San Francisco. Let's go. Leo was very satisfied with Black Widow's efficiency. The next moment, brilliant magic sparks continued to fall. Everyone crossed the teleportation gate and appeared in the prosperous city on the other side of the ocean. San Francisco. Before this, S.H.I.E.L.D. had notified the sheriff of District 13. One after another, plainclothes cars drove away from the secret military base. Soon, 3 layers of inside and outside surrounded the Pan-American Pyramid building. Ms. Romanov, why did you bring a child to the mission site? The sheriff of District 13, named Blake Augustus, was an outstanding graduate of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy and had briefly come into contact with Black Widow. He had almost no doubt about Black Widow's professionalism. However, the child who appeared with her directly broke this beautiful impression. Sheriff Black, I advise you to be respectful. Because he is not an ordinary child. Black Widow said solemnly. Before she finished speaking, a taxi stopped not far away. A skinny old man with the same hairstyle as Saiyans and a big-nosed archaeologist appeared at the scene of the crime. Oops. Sheriff Black. Magic must be used to defeat magic. And one more thing. The cloak on him, could it be the magic floating cloak? A hoarse and old duck voice sounded. The old man suddenly stared at his little eyes. Thanks for watching.